So I would think one of my most successful lessons is something that I participated in last year. It was actually a project that lasted throughout a semester, and it was called SMILE, and that stands for Seeing Myself in the Library Everywhere. We invited 4th and 5th grade students to participate in evaluating who is represented in the books in our library. And so we created this project that would put together math and social justice. And we learned a lot about, how people identify with their health by different races. And then we just collected data on the books in our library, over 1,000 books. We pulled off the shelf, looked to see who's represented, what races were represented. And then we compiled all that data and compared it to the racial makeup of our school. And we realized that there was a huge difference in the books that were in our school and the students that are in our school. And so we were able actually to find an outside grant that would support us purchasing new books for our school in order to sort of make that who's represented in the library and who's represented in our school better match. So we got, over 100 new books for our library, and then our students were able to read some of them and create book talks to try to get their peers to want to read these new books with diverse characters. And I also saw the team of educators I worked with really grow in this process and learn a lot about project-based learning, and combining math and social justice. It was great for both the students and the teachers to participate.
One of my most successful lessons to this day, and why I think it was most successful, is any lesson really where I incorporate culturally relevant math teaching. I like to bring in things that are relevant to my students, whether it's pop culturally relevant or ethnic foods that are important to them. And one that really reminds me just of how excited they were and how excited I was we were doing a lesson on proportional reasoning. And, most books talk about, making the perfect lemonade or the perfect iced tea. But those things just didn't resonate with my students. So when I changed it to be, traditional Mexican drink, which is horchata, they were just so excited about it. And, many of them describe like being able to taste it while they're learning how to make it. And it was just beautiful to see them expand it even further, that they started looking at other cultures and drinks that were important to them. So it started off as like a small lesson that kind of just morphed into something much larger than that.
Some of my kids, they really listen to a lot of music during quarantine, where they listen to certain rappers, certain musician artists and whatnot. So what we did was we created an activity that had the students do research on some of their favorite artists and musicians and whatnot, and they had to work out it was related back to statistics, a project where they got to look at their sales of records, of albums, and in which populations did it sell more and in which locations. So teaching the students how to be researchers, how in essence to do their homework, but how to back up their statements with facts.
Knowing my community being as diverse as it is, I had to, figure out a way to bring in other cultures that's not me, because I'm Native American. And, for a lot of other teachers, it's the reverse. They're of a different culture trying to come into a diverse area. But see, for me, I'm already immersed in it by being a member. So for me, it was just learning how to bring in the other cultures. And luckily for me, where we live, we're mostly Native American, we're mostly Latinx, we're mostly Caucasian white. So I've lived here my whole life. And so for me, really, it was just learning how to bring in like more of the white and the Hispanic culture and just get them to, immerse into what I do and what we're about, and just bring it all together. And I got a lot of that out of the teacher program because, Fort Lewis, again, the program there is really built on trying to keep being cultural competent and really embrace the diversity in the area, because a lot of us in that program do intend to go back to our home areas and our home schools. And for a good portion of us, that was reservation areas, and that's low service communities, and that's rural areas. So, it really, whatever we were learning at school and in the teacher ed department really focused on that. And it just, you know, it resonated. And even now, I mean, it's like they were right about everything that they taught us.